If you've been following the blockchain story as long as I have, then you may be familiar with our next guest. Kavita Gupta previously led ConsenSys Ventures, working alongside founders and developers of the Ethereum blockchain. Now she has launched the Delta Blockchain Fund. It is oversubscribed for the first funding round at more than $30 million. It plans investments for a multi-chain world. Kavita joins us now.
Hi, hey, Kavita. Michael, so good to see you. Hey, guys.
Good to see you. Good to see you too. So, Kavita, your big thesis seems to be this multi-chain concept, right? What does that mean for how you prioritize your investments?
Yeah, so Michael, just to correct the first thing you said, we are actually oversubscribed for our main fund too. So we are done and investing very actively now with 15 companies. Going back to your multi-chain, I think when I started my journey into the space, it was initially Bitcoin and then it was all about Ethereum. But I feel like today in the world, we have so many chains out there and there should not be a monopoly for one. Even layer 2 are extremely helpful when you have like you want to do NFT, you want to do DeFi, you want to do options, you need to use a lower gas fee alternative. And that is why we invest in companies which are basically either helping liquidity move across different chains, smart contract security happening, the native contracts, and basically allowing the whole assets to move from one place to another without user ever realizing that there are like 5 tokens changed in the background.
Good morning, Kavita. So who put money in the fund? Who were your investors? What were they trying to get out of investing with you? What was their thesis?
I think it's a mixed bag. We have institutional investors. We have a lot of family offices across the globe. We were very strategic. When I started, I wanted to make sure that this fund is very global. So we had a lot of global, some of the top family offices across the world. A lot of investors who have invested in traditional space and really wanted to get an idea into the blockchain crypto space. Very well famous investors, they came into the space. And some amazing actors, musicians, and artists who really want to start getting into NFTs and also understand how the whole metaverse world is work. So our whole cap table, if I can say, like as a fund, we have really interesting mix of individual family offices, institutions, and that's what we are going. We have already launched our growth fund, and that's also very surprisingly mix of like a lot of big pension funds and a lot of traditional companies from emerging markets like India, Brazil, Argentina, multi-billion-dollar traditional companies, and their venture arms are coming into our fund. So it's been a very interesting ride for me as a first-time fundraiser to learn how people are thinking about the space.
Kavita, if I understand correctly, you are also looking at everything from DeFi to NFTs to Metaverse. And it's particularly with Metaverse, these are really early technologies, right? And a lot of these Metaverse platforms are, to be frank, not really ready for prime time, right? They're still very, very early. The user experience isn't that good, if they're usable at all. So how, as an investor, does one separate the winners from the losers at such an early stage? Like, how do you know which of these are going to make it and which aren't when they're so early and you don't really have a lot of data on the user experience?
You asked me the toughest question, and that's the question when any of my investor ask, I'm like, try to avoid it, because the honest answer is you literally have to go with the gut feeling of the team and have the trust in them that even if they have to pivot, they will pivot, but they understand the space. They have some gaming experience, they have some user experience, they have some experience on blockchain and crypto on how their NFTs or their avatars going to move. But what I'm finding very fascinating in the metaverse space, there was a big news last week about the Swedish bank coming and saying that their whole banking experience is going to be on metaverse. One of our portfolio companies is actually Metaverse AI, is actually working with companies like Coca-Cola and NBA and a lot of those places to have fans giving an experience of how to play it, like LeBron James. So I feel like people are finding very different way of using Metaverse, from shopping experience avatars to actually dropping your new fashion collection and wearing it to your game party, to banking experiences and customer experiences. So I will give it another 2 years to actually see something which you and I would use, but I have high hopes from the space.
Kavita, I'm hearing the knocking, and it sounds like those are investors who didn't get into the fund or something going on there. But just trying to get through. Come on. But you were at ConsenSys, and now you're doing Multichain. So what are the implications of that? I mean, stepping back, what is that telling you? Your own personal journey. Getting back to Michael's question, your own personal journey. What is that telling us about this space in general and what's coming next?
First, let me apologize for the knocking. Apart from investments, also the construction next door. But I think ConsenSys did. I have to give them the credit. They did make Ethereum ecosystem when nobody else would do, right? And Ethereum ecosystem still today is one of the most pivotal blockchain ecosystem in the space. I think Ethereum V2 has completely taken scalability to the next solution. Layer 2 of Polygon, Starkware, Optimism on Ethereum are taking next level to what scalability, lower gas fee, and the future looks like. So we can't move away that Ethereum is still the biggest, like at least in my world, 90% of the space. But you cannot also avoid amazing other protocols like Solana and BSC and other chains which are coming, which are very pragmatic and practical for a lot of users. If I am creating, let's say, a DeFi product, I may not want to use a lot of gas fee, which is still on Ethereum, and I may not have that scalability on L2 yet, so I may decide to do BSC. It's also very regional specific. I continue to see so much of Terra in South Korea, so much of BSC in Asia, so much of now Solana is coming out with people building. But at the end of the day, the dollar value on those chains, the adoption, the number of users, the liquidity has nothing to match with Ethereum. So I do see a world where it's going to be very interchangeable. There will be more EVM, non-EVM compatible. Cosmos going to be in a bigger way, but not yet. But that is what we are investing as a fund over next 2 to 3 years to be part of that and be on top of the game, ahead of the game.
Kavita, I'm going to have to close by putting you on the spot a little bit here, and that is, what is your definition of Web3? We just had Marique Flamen from the NEAR Foundation giving her take. You got Jack Dorsey saying it's a whole bunch of hot air. It really is a buzzword, is it not? What does it mean? What does Web3 actually mean?
I love Michael. His last question is always, I'm like, oh shit, that happened. I actually still figuring out, Michael, to be very honest. If you do find the definition of Web 3.0, please come and tell me. I thought it was blockchain and crypto. What does Web 3.0 means? I mean, if it's mean a decentralized world, then I want all the people who are talking about this to put their product on decentralized database and identity, which I don't think anybody has done it so far. So if you don't have your building blocks on decentralized world, you can't call your top product as Web 3.0. So in an ideal world, I think Web 3.0 would be where every stack of your technology is on decentralization, which I don't think is practically even possible today. Like, pieces of it is possible. I'm a huge fan of RV, huge fan of Graph and all that stuff, but we don't have a single product which imbibes all of them together and create a Web 3.0. That's how I feel. Please don't troll me.
No, of course not.